Sunday night, Mexico defeated the United States 2-1 to win the CONCACAF Gold Cup in Houston. Chris Richards put the Americans up in the 4th minute, the fastest goal in a Gold Cup final. Raul Jimenez tied the game in the 27th, and Edson Alvarez scored the game winner in the 77th minute on a header that was initially ruled offside, given a goal after VAR took a look. It's Mexico's 6th win in 8 Gold Cup finals against the United States. And with that, we bring in the full power of CBS Sports and Golazo together as one. Ian Joy, Chris Wittyngham. Gentlemen, not the result we wanted to see from the United States, but a tournament where we might have seen more than we expected from the U.S. squad. Chris, I'll start with you. What's your biggest takeaway from Team USA?
I think we saw a tournament up to par, I would say, because as you mentioned, I think once we get to this final, the United States is outmanned by Mexico. I think Mexico had a better team. They showed a better performance in the game, and I think in the end, it is a fair reflection of this Gold Cup. Mexico is better than the United States. It is, however, not the United States' full senior team. There are 8 or 9 key players that are missing from this group. Some decided not to play because they wanted to rest up. Some, it was a mutual decision with the Federation to recover injuries. But I think the overall assessment for me is I'm still disappointed because this is the last chance that the U.S. will have had to play on a big stage, nationally televised audience, to play their big rivals, and they didn't really show much. And I think fans will be disappointed and not really excited about the World Cup next year.
I agree with you, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of positives to take from this competition. This was a group where there's a number of key players missing. And of course, those key players should probably be with this group in preparation of a World Cup. And therefore, expectations were a little bit lower than we were hoping for. So when you get to a Gold Cup final, and of course, you're going up in a rivalry game against Mexico, you've got to bring your top-class performance, and that's what was lacking for me. When you get to the competition, that's one thing. You perform, you get to a final, that's another thing. There was a lot of passion involved in this group. There was determination in this group. We saw a lot of quality, and I know the opposition wasn't necessarily great, Chris, all the way to the final. But when you get to the final, that's where we're going to judge them on. And that's where I think all of our disappointments as U.S. soccer fans will come down to. It wasn't good enough in the final, and you lost to Mexico. But overall, I'm actually going to take the positives. Yeah. I think Poch did a good job bringing this group together. A lot of pride, a lot of passion, some quality within the ranks as well. But still more to come.
Yeah, Pochettino's got some interesting decisions to make between now and the start of the World Cup, which is in June of next year. So there's a little bit of time, but not a lot of time with his team. So what roster decisions are the biggest ones between now and early June or June 12th when the U.S. kicks off its World Cup campaign?
Yeah, it's massive. Obviously, for Pochettino right now, it's a new format for him as well. Coming away from the club game, going to the national game, that's never easy. You never know which group you're going to have. Obviously, with the friendly games now, you not get that competitive nature in those friendly games. So I think now, obviously, the big moves will be, can you try to bring your Christian Pulisic's, your Weahs involved, the Weston McKennies, the Anthony Robinsons, and I could name more here, who are key players in this group, back involved to create some sort of chemistry, where positive vibes are once again flowing within this group. Because right now, I'm not recognizing that feeling. I'm recognizing that Pochettino sometimes is against the players who are not in camp. I don't want to see that, so that's important for me.
But Russ, to narrow in on the decisions that you're talking about, I think striker is a huge one. We got no answers at this Gold Cup. Patrick Agyemang scored some goals, but I don't think, for me, looks up to the level of being a major international striker. So I think you're talking about the European-based players who have not really proved a ton with the national team. Yep. Valérien Balogun, Josh Sargent, Haji Wright, and of course Ricardo Pepi, who plays his football in the Netherlands. I think some of those other decisions, I think, is the depth. Who backs up some of these key pieces? I think in midfield, in particular, we didn't get a ton of answers at this Gold Cup behind Tyler Adams, who obviously is that main man in midfield. Weston McKennie and Yunus Musa have roles to play as well. And then did any of these players earn a role in next year's team and starting 11?
All right, so we're jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm going to add one to a position that I'm still worried about, and I have no idea. It's goalkeeper. Yeah. No idea who's going to start, and that's so strange.
Matt Freese had a good tournament.
Good tournament.
And Matt Turner needs to get games somewhere. Wherever that is, he looks to be on his way to Lyon in France, but he's got to get games if he's going to get back into that #1 role.
You say he had a good tournament, though. For me, Matt Freese was okay in this tournament. He certainly took a great big stride to try and get into that World Cup roster, and certainly maybe raised a few eyebrows as to how well he can be, especially as a shot stopper. He still made a few errors that I don't recognize seeing him play weekly in Major League Soccer. But there are a number of players who obviously made great strides getting there, and he's one of them.
Can we talk about Diego Luna? Can we talk about guys who really, like, their star, like, shot up in this event? And to me, Luna's the one at the top of that list, no?
Oh, yeah.
But not in the final. And I think that is the sour taste at the end of it. We built him up, and we told his story really well. He came up through the San Jose Academy and then moved to the USL Championship at a young age. The story told that he was a barista to improve his social skills, to be around his teammates and be better socially, and is a completely different player than what we're used to from American soccer. Creative, technical, shifty, he's got guile and ideas. They're things that we're not used to seeing. And he did really well against some of the lesser teams, including against Guatemala in the semifinal. But on the big stage, against Mexico, he is Mexican-American. He made the decision to play the U.S. ahead of Mexico, didn't deliver on that final stage. So I think he might have been a player that could have displaced one of the top U.S. players for a World Cup starting position next year, but now I think that question's a little bit more in doubt.
I think he was still ways away from actually displacing some of those key players who were missing from camp. I think he's the one who actually take the biggest stride, getting closer to being involved in a World Cup. And I'd actually go as far as to say, Russ, that he's on that squad. I think he's there. I think he's in the World Cup now. I think it's now determined as to whether or not he starts in the starting 11 or whether he's just a squad player. This was a disappointment to exactly what Chris said there in the final, but you can only play against who's in front of you. And I don't care about the opposition. The kid impressed us all. He's different, he's unique, he's got tattoos, he obviously has a handlebar mustache. He's got earrings and rings everywhere. And to many people, that's kind of cool, right? But to me, I just love the authenticity from this kid. He wants to be himself. And he showcased that he's also got some soccer talent.
He also feels like a player that U.S. fans could really get behind.
Yes.
Like he's going to be a galvanizing kind of character on this team.
Yeah.
Anyone else that took a big leap forward before we wrap this up? Anyone?
For me, Malik Tillman is a big one because he has a European pedigree, played for Bayern Munich, is currently playing at PSV. He's about to move to Bayer Leverkusen, one of the big clubs in Germany, but had never really done it in a national team shirt. Before this Gold Cup, played 19 times for the national team, 1 assist, 0 goals. He had 3 goals and 2 assists at this tournament alone. I think he has taken a real step forward. He's moving to a bigger club in Europe, and I can see him, again, being one of the players that displaces one of the regular 11 as a starter on the number 10 role.
There. 35 million at Leverkusen tells me that he's probably already going to be close to that starting 11 anyway. Sebastian Berhalter, I thought was excellent.
Great
cross for the goal. Chris Richards was excellent as well defensively. But Berhalter's delivery, I think his ball possession is very good in midfield. He's got a bit of bite, a bit of tenacity, a bit of pride, a bit of passion. That's exactly what I'm looking for when you pull on that fabulous jersey. Can you play for your country and do it in style? He did that all competition for me.
So maybe the U.S. didn't win the Gold Cup from Mexico in the final, but perhaps they found their grit again. And if that's the case, we'll take that for sure. Enjoy. Chris Wittyngham. Thanks so much, gentlemen.
Pleasure.
U.S. back on the pitch. The friendly start in September. International windows in September, October, and November, and perhaps in March again. But it'll be South Korea at the home of the New York Red Bulls in Harrison, New Jersey. And then they'll take on Japan in Columbus, Ohio.